Well. This chapter of Fairy Tail, like, honestly, being 100% legit, without any malice behind this, I truly think that Hiro Mashima, he's a big fan of anime and manga. Like, he genuinely enjoys a lot of the same shit we enjoy. I mean, if you follow his Twitter, you see he plays all the games we play. Like, you know, when Final Fantasy 15 came out, he's on it. So, I genuinely think that Hiro Mashima, the creator of Fairy Tail, the, you know, mangaka, is essentially a fan like us of stuff. So, when he sees things, he might incorporate it in his own way. So, again, no malice, no shade on this one where I'm talking about this, because the shit that happened with Wendy is, you know, kind of coincidental that this is like, you know, a couple months after the stuff that we had in Dragon Ball Super or Goku Black. Not that that was the originator of it. There's been plenty different cases and stuff like that, but it did remind me of something similar that just recently happened in Dragon Ball Super. If you know what I'm talking about, then you understand what I'm saying regarding the ending with Wendy and Irene, which I thought it was like, I'm mixed on it, and we'll talk about that in a bit or whatever, because there was quite a bit that actually happened in this chapter. Not only the Wendy and Irene stuff, we also had a little bit more of a revelation regarding Natsu and his future. So let's talk. One of the things I found neat about Irene telling the story, because for the most part, whenever we get, you know, some dialogue or some shit like that, or somebody tells a backstory, it's just kind of like, maybe you'll understand me now, or in general, it's just a way to progress plot and, you know, tell things without actually having any meaning behind it, because it's like, ah, yes, the readers need to know this. How are they gonna know it? Okay, let's just show it to them. Fuck it. But what Irene said in this chapter, with basically saying, I told you the story to see how I would feel afterward. Would it make me sad? Would it make me remorseful? Would I change things? But the bitch is far gone batshit crazy, because she's like, I'm fine. You know, even though I basically wanted to take my newborn baby's body and I'm trying to kill my daughter right here, I'm okay, bro. Like, I'm good. Don't worry about it. So I was kind of like, yeah, Irene, fuck you. You're still a piece of shit. I mean, not to jump into last week's review, but you're not a big ass piece of shit as fucking Erza's real dad, but you're still a scumbag. You're still crazy. Fucking drop that bitch in Arkham Asylum type of shit. That bitch is nuts. But I did have to give props to Wendy in this chapter. She actually got a dig at Irene, and I think possibly Irene is playing up her no fucks given attitude that she's been having up until this point just a bit, because for her to get hit by Wendy while she's struggling with Erza, I mean, we've seen Irene up until this point. She seems like she's, you know, the shit and then some. I mean, she's a dragon slayer. She's a fucking dragon, just using the illusion of a human's body, but nonetheless, she's everything and then some. So for her to get caught off guard by Wendy, you could argue that it's sloppy writing and like, what the fuck, how is they doing this? I mean, at the end of the day, Wendy is a strong fighter. She's grown a lot from the day that we met her. Like, she was a shy little girl. She's not that same little girl anymore. But ultimately, I'm gonna say that partially her retelling that story, there are some regrets for her. She is crazy, but I think she's masking a lot of the self-hatred in a way for what she's done, getting rid of her daughter, everything that she's been trying to accomplish and shit like that. I think somewhere in her mind, it does fuck with her, and that's possibly how she got maybe caught off guard with Wendy. Of course, that helped to, you know, serve the plot later on in the chapter when she finds out everything that Wendy is truly capable of, the enchantment magic and shit like that. But nonetheless, I do think somewhere in all the fuckery that is Irene's mind and her mentality, there is regrets and there is some pain for what she did to her daughter. Because even if you're batshit crazy, unless we're on some real world terms where we're talking like, you know, in the real world, sometimes when you're a lunatic, that's it, you don't give a fuck or whatever, you would argue that she really cared about her newborn baby. I mean, leaving her in her stomach for 3 years just not to give birth in a prison cell. So yeah, I'm gonna call BS on what she's saying. I think there's a little bit more to it than meets the eye. And you can see in this chapter, another thing is, a lot of it is, she's just a really fucking spoiled ass little kid throwing a tantrum. When she hears the story about the antibodies that the dragons used so that Natsu and Wendy and Gajeel and all of these motherfuckers didn't turn into dragons, you could see already throughout the chapter her facial expression. And when she truly finds out, she's just basically like, that's not fair, bitch. Life ain't fair, okay? Like, that's just what it is. So you can see that partially it's almost as if she's like a fucking little kid in a way. Again, it could be the madness and everything, but for her to say, that's not fair. Well, bitch, you shouldn't have let Belserion die on the battlefield, right? You should have been a little bit better at protecting your comrades. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. So it kind of explains more of Irene's character, which honestly, if you think about it, all the different dynamics, it does make her look a little bit more than just a one-dimensional, like, I'm angry. Well, she's kind of childish, or pretty fucking childish. She's batshit fucking crazy. She was once a pretty decent person. She's very strong. So there's a couple different layers to this character, and that's definitely a good thing. That's good on the storytelling side and good on the character's depth. So that way it's not just like a flat panel of, I'm evil, motherfucker, yeah. The part about Natsu in the chapter was pretty awesome as well. Finding out that essentially, which it kind of plays into, again, what I was thinking when we saw the poster for Fairy Tail Movie 2, which I know you're thinking, what are you talking about Fairy Tail Movie 2, bro? We're talking about the chapter. I'll explain. It was called Natsu Dragonized in one of the taglines or whatever, and he was turning into a dragon, which I'm still going off with. I think Fairy Tail Movie 2 might be potentially canon to the manga, or might have some relevance to what's going to happen, where you see Natsu turning into a dragon. This is explaining a little bit more of why that might actually be, because the demon seed inside of him, that he doesn't have antibodies for that. He has antibodies for the dragon seed to stop that from growing, but he doesn't have antibodies for the demon seed, and with the fusion of the two, that's how it'll continue to grow. So ultimately, not only can he be END, but he's going to be like an END dragon in a sense, because it's also growing the dragon inside of him. So he's going to morph into half monster, half fucking dragon. Like, Natsu is going to be an absolute monster, and this is truly how I believe he's going to be able to take out Acnologia. Nobody but Natsu is going to be able to do it, because if you got END, one of the legendary demons from Zero's book, probably the strongest of his creations, on top of having half of a dragon, Acnologia, this is gonna be your booty, bro. Natsu's coming for that ass. And I really wish I wasn't as I am with Fairy Tail. This is a personal thing. Maybe some people feel differently. But when Igneel told Natsu, you're dying, a part of me wants to be like, damn, that's sad, you know, sometimes to accept your fate, especially something such as a tragic thing like that. Like, I'm gonna die. There's really not much I can do or whatever. It's a shitty feeling. But because it's Fairy Tail, it always clicks back into my mind like, it's sad, and I want to feel sad, and I want to get into it, but we've seen time and time again, chapter 500, bro, do I need to say more? So it was like, it was a good moment, but if you're a reader that understands the context of the story and how things roll, it's hard to really emotionally get me. I mean, I felt it, but I didn't feel it, if that makes any sense at all. Again, you might feel differently. Maybe you fucking felt like, oh my god, Natsu, and if you did, I don't blame you. Some people, they just take the story for what it is and keep on rocking. It is what it is, you know, to each his own. And then, towards the end of the chapter, yet again, Irene talking about, you know, it's not fair and shit like that, like we just covered. It's like, you're a childish piece of shit. But also, when she finds out about, you know, Wendy and stuff like that, and basically pulls her big move, I was thinking to myself, for starters, with what happened right there, with Erza basically slashing on top of her head, is that body completely dead now that she made the jump to Wendy? Or what's gonna happen with that? Because, I mean, she took fucking 2 swords to the goddamn head and was bleeding and shit like that. So I'm kind of curious if that body is no longer useful, and once we get the inevitable clearing of Irene out of Wendy's body, let's be honest, it's not gonna be Wendy's body is taken over completely. Just take that out of your mind. I mean, let's be real here. That's not happening. Irene is not going to be Wendy from now on. No matter how fucking insane that will be, it's not happening. So essentially, we already got rid of the host body for Irene, and once that gets clear, the personality out of Wendy, then there's not much to jump, unless with the switch that she did, putting her personality, I'm curious, is Wendy still going to be inside of Wendy's body? Or did she do a switcheroo where Wendy is inside of Irene's now? So that's going to be interesting. But my issue, and it's not even really an issue, I'm just kind of concerned with the jump she made, is the fact that you're jumping and taking over somebody else's body that isn't really that strong. It'd be different if she was jumping to Wendy's body and she's like, yo, I'm flying off. Peace to this war, peace to everybody. I'm gonna go enjoy life right now. I don't give a fuck no more. But the fact that she's still on that battlefield and still has to fight, Wendy is nowhere near what Irene was. And I think Irene, if she was truly going all in, look what she did. She sent Acnologia a billion miles away. She could have taken out Erza and Wendy, but her desire to be human is what inevitably is fucking her up already. Like, I don't see this going on much longer, and I really wish she would have put up more of a fight against Erza and Wendy, to be honest with you. Like, this chapter, my feelings on it is even mixed. Like, there was a lot of mixed things I felt like with, you know, the Natsu moment, and then this is like, on one hand, it's interesting, it's good. On the other hand, there's concerns. Because now that she's in Wendy's body, what she has to work with is Wendy. And Wendy has come a long way. Like I stated in the chapter, she's come a long way. She's no longer the same weakling that she was in the beginning of the series. But in comparison to Erza, it'd be different if she jumped into Minerva's body or Kagura's body, something like that, where, okay, you got something to work with, but Wendy is not that strong. Erza can body her. The only, edge that she's going to have is the fact that who in Fairy Tail wants to attack her? Who's gonna wanna do the thing that needs to be done and put her down? So that'll probably be what she uses to combat people, is that they're not gonna be able to fight full force because they know they killed his body. Wendy's gone too, so they're gonna have to find some sort of trick or some sort of Deus Ex Machina to deal with the problem that is Irene inside of Wendy's body. Goku Buraku, Wendy Buraku, or as the chapter for next week is called, Wendy Belserion. So it's gonna be interesting. Personally, I'm a little bit like, ugh, it kind of reminds me, but to an even worse degree, of like what happened in Naruto when Madara, instead of continuing to be this immortal god, wanted to be human so that he can eventually become a Jinchuriki for the Jubi. You were really, really strong, bitch. You were a strong ass bitch, and you gave that up to just be human, which, if you think about it, if you go like in depth, really, what is she missing out on having that form? Because she already has a human form. It's just not legit. She still really is a dragon. It's just that Zeref used some magic to make her look like that. You're missing out on the ability to taste things. So with that being said, you're missing out on the ability to taste things, so you went batshit crazy and all this. Like, in reality, how much are you really missing out on? You don't look like a dragon anymore. You got that out the way. Really? To be able to taste a fucking piece of steak, you're gonna go crazy and take a little girl's body? Like, it makes me wonder, in comparison to what Zama's in Dragon Ball Super was trying to do. Like, yeah, he wanted to be a supreme god. You want to be able to taste food and be legit. I'm legit a human this time, even though I'm a little girl now. I mean, I guess it gives her a fresh start in a way. That's probably what's in her mind as well. But yeah, this chapter, I liked it, but it did make me feel like, why would you make such a drastic decline just for that? I guess it's all part of her character, where she's been leading up to with all this insanity that she has. Honestly, it was an interesting one nonetheless to talk about. That's why this video was pretty damn long, because it was kind of interesting to dive into all this. I'm kind of curious what you guys think. How do you feel about Wendy Buraku, Wendy Belserion, now that Irene has took her body? How long do you think this is going to last? Do you think the ace that she's going to have up her sleeve is the fact that Erza's not going to want to go all out on little old Wendy? And how do you think they're going to solve this problem? And also, what do you think about Natsu? How much longer do you think until we get a half END, half dragon savage from Natsu Drag Neo? And overall thoughts of this chapter, how was you feeling about it? You like it? You dislike it? Honestly, if I had to give it a score, I would say it's in the 7 range, honestly, because it was a pretty decent chapter. It just continues, though, that I have some concerns. And honestly, it's like, is that a really big thing you want to do, especially if you're going to continue on the battlefield, to downgrade to that of a body of a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old girl compared to being this old-ass, really strong wizard? But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.